Thank you for having our child, Sarah. I'm sure he'll turn out to be a handsome boy just like you. Hearing about my sister giving birth, I was shocked by the conversation coming from inside the hospital room as I stood in front of the door. It was unmistakably my sister and my husband's voices. I was surprised that my husband was here, but even more shocked to learn that my sister's child was his. I did wish for a girl who'd look like Sarah, though. Oh, come on. Shall we go for a second one then? It seemed that the father of the child my sister had indeed was my husband, and they had been having an affair behind my back for a long time. I understood everything just from that conversation. And then, I decided to open the door to my sister's hospital room. This was the first step towards my revenge. My name is Amy, 34 years old. I'm currently a stay-at-home wife, but before I got married, I worked in the accounting department of a small to medium-sized company. And I have an older sister, Sarah, who is 2 years my senior. However, since her student days, my sister had been involved in many problematic behaviors, often ending up in the care of the police. Perhaps it was because of that, my sister has always had a bad relationship with our parents, and after dropping out of high school, she ran away from home. Since then, we lost all contact with her. This left our parents wringing their hands, unsure of what to do, but eventually, they concluded she would return home on her own and thus did not request the police to search for her. However, to me, she was my beloved sister. I quietly searched for her on my own, but realized the limits of what I could do alone. Just as I was thinking I had no choice but to ask for help from our parents and acquaintances, my elderly parents passed away one after the other. When my parents died, I was already working, and with the rush of preparing for the wake and funeral, I had no time to search for my sister. After all the duties for my parents' funerals were completed, I was at the lowest point of despair. What should I do? I'm all alone now. I've lived with the support of my dad and mom until now. I wonder if I can manage on my own. During this time, a friend who had always been concerned about my mental and physical well-being invited me out for tea one day. As we sat down, my friend, fiddling with their smartphone, said, "Hey, do you know this person? I think she might be your sister, Amy, but am I wrong?" Wow. Let me see. According to my friend, my sister Sarah had become a yoga instructor and was active on social media. I immediately checked out the videos my friend told me about. It was unmistakably my sister, Sarah. Her video channel was popular, with subscriptions numbering in the tens of thousands. I was filled with joy and tears to know that my sister was alive and well. Wanting to meet her, I wrote a message in the comment section. I received a reply almost immediately. From there, after more than a decade, my interaction with my sister on social media resumed. It was as if I was filling in the gaps of all those years, communicating with her daily. Before long, I was able to reunite with my sister. Seeing her for the first time in years, I was surprised at how much she had changed into a refined and wonderful woman, completely different from before. Is it really you, sis? Come on. Did you forget my face just because we haven't seen each other for a decade? Wow, it's really you, sis. Have you been well? I cried with joy and hugged my sister. She was happy to see me too and apologized for letting me go through tough times alone. Since then, our family bonds were mended to the point where we would share updates about each other's lives. After reuniting with my sister, I returned to my normal life. My friends and colleagues at work were happy to see me regain my spirit. I felt very grateful, realizing that I am who I am today because everyone supported me. Later, feeling more positive, I joined a tennis club for working adults at the invitation of a friend. There, I met a man named John. John, 3 years older, was a wonderful man who patiently taught me, a beginner in tennis. John, interested in my eagerness to learn tennis, often invited me out for meals after the tennis club sessions ended. Amy, you're really hardworking, aren't you? Not at all. It's just that your teaching method is so good, it makes me want to try harder. You say the nicest things. Hey, how about we go see a movie next time? I got some movie tickets. Oh, this one. I've been wanting to see this movie. I'd love to go. Okay. Let's go on our next day off. I was really happy about the invitation because I had been interested in John myself. I couldn't wait for our day off, wondering what to wear. During such times, I would consult my sister and get her advice. On the promised day off, I arrived at the meeting place early, but John had also come earlier than the scheduled time. Because both of us had acted unconsciously, we ended up laughing together. Until the movie started, we used the time to talk about personal stories and our hobbies. We discovered that we shared many of the same interests. When I mentioned that my sister was a yoga instructor. Wait, isn't that the beautiful instructor, Sarah? Yes. John, do you know her? Know her? I'm actually a big fan of Sarah. I often watch her videos. I had no idea. Learning that John was a fan of my sister became a turning point for us, leading to many dinner dates and eventually a relationship. John proposed to me, mentioning that he was due for a promotion at work soon. Thus, we got engaged and went to meet John's parents. John's parents were very kind and were thrilled about our marriage. When I messaged my sister about the engagement, she immediately called me. Amy, congratulations! You're getting married before me. I'm so jealous. Thank you. You're so popular, you could get married anytime. And then she apologized for causing so much trouble by running away and everything that followed. But I might not be able to make time for the meet and greet or formal greetings. But I'll definitely be there for the wedding. That's okay. John understands, too. Just make sure to come when the wedding date is set, okay? You're like a parent to me, after all. With that, she said she had to return to work, and the call ended. I was touched by my sister's sincere congratulations. Despite her busy schedule, she prioritized me, reminding me of her kindness. I also announced my engagement at work. My boss and colleagues all congratulated me, making me feel truly blessed. As I began to prepare for marriage, I decided to quit my job and become a full-time housewife to support my husband. Since my husband had expressed a desire for me to be a stay-at-home wife after getting married, I agreed. Amy, what should we do about our house after we get married? Well, considering we might have children in the future, a larger house would be better. A big house, huh? If we're doing it, I'd like one with a garden. Let's buy in a location where you'd like to live. Really? Thank you. With John becoming busier due to his promotion, I took on the responsibility of preparing for the wedding and arranging our new home. It was tough handling everything on my own, but John was always there for the important moments and gave thoughtful consideration. My affection for John, so kind and reliable, deepened even more. After registering our marriage, we immediately moved to a suburban house with a garden. Of course, the purchase was completed before our registration. As John had said, we chose a location that was convenient for me, and it was also within a 30-minute drive to his company, making it a great location. Now we can be closer to nature, which I think will be great for our kids too. Typical Amy, always thinking ahead for our future. In the beginning of our marriage, we lived happily every day. However, I was unaware that this happiness would soon crumble. 3 years into our marriage, I turned 34. Yet, we hadn't been blessed with children, and I started to feel increasingly anxious. One reason for my anxiety was reaching my mid-30s, knowing that any pregnancy from now would likely be considered high risk for both the baby and me. One more thing. Around this time, John's returns home began to get later and later. He also started to carry his smartphone with him everywhere in the house. Whether at meals or in the bath, he was constantly on his phone. Hey, you've been on your phone a lot lately, what's up? Oh, work has just been really busy lately, and I've had to deal with some mistakes made by my team. That was his explanation whenever I asked, claiming it was work-related. However, he often smiled while looking at his phone, which made me suspicious. Despite my suspicions of his infidelity, I couldn't bring myself to confront him, feeling guilty that we hadn't been able to have children. John seemed so looking forward to having children with me. Why can't I seem to get pregnant? Not being able to conceive was a major concern for me, and I had been thinking about getting it diagnosed. Amidst this, my sister announced she would be making a major announcement in her video stream. Curious about what it could be, I decided to watch her stream. To my surprise, she announced that she was pregnant. What? When did you get pregnant, sis? We had been in touch recently, and she hadn't mentioned anything of the sort. Moreover, when did she get married? Or is she planning to? I hadn't heard any news about her marriage. I wonder who her husband is. I felt a bit upset she hadn't told me directly, but still, the news of her pregnancy made me incredibly happy, as if it were my own news, and I immediately sent her a message. Then, my sister invited me out for a meal, and we made plans to meet. That night, I told my husband about my sister's pregnancy.
Really? Sarah's pregnant?
Yes, exactly. She announced it during her video stream today, and I was so surprised. Is that so? That's wonderful. He seemed as happy as if it were his own good news, already thinking about what gift to give. Seeing my husband so excited, I couldn't help but smile. However, his reaction shifted when I mentioned my next plans. I've made plans to have dinner with my sister soon. Oh, is that so? Yeah. Something wrong? No, nothing. Just, now that Sarah is pregnant, make sure not to stress her out, okay? His sudden nervousness made me slightly suspicious. But I was so happy about my sister's pregnancy, I chose to believe I was imagining his odd behavior. A few days later, I went to the restaurant where I had arranged to meet my sister. She was already there. Finding my sister, I sat down, ordered our meal, and immediately started bombarding her with questions. Hey, sis! Congratulations! When did you get pregnant? I was so surprised. Sorry. I wanted to surprise you, Amy, with the announcement. But I wish you had told me first. So, who's the father of the baby? That's a secret for now. I'll introduce him to you soon. Ah, come on. I'm so curious. Tell me soon. After that, my sister and I chatted about this and that, enjoying our meal together. As my sister's pregnancy progressed, her belly grew larger day by day. Thinking it might be getting difficult for her to manage things on her own, I offered to help out. Sis, it must be getting hard to manage on your own, right? Can I help with anything? No, it's okay. Don't worry. I have someone helping me out, so I'm all good. All right. But let me know if you need anything, okay? Despite my repeated offers to help, my sister stubbornly refused and wouldn't even give me her apartment address. I talked to my husband about it. Maybe she's hired a helper or someone? Amy, you don't need to worry. If anything comes up, she'll contact you. No need to go over to her place unnecessarily. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Oh, and I'll be home late tomorrow, so don't wait up for dinner. Really? Okay, got it. Though I had to accept my husband's words, his actions while smirking and looking at his phone made me suspicious. While I was concerned about my sister, John's behavior had become increasingly suspicious lately. I finally began to suspect that my husband might be having an affair and decided to secretly gather evidence. Months later, I received news that my sister had given birth. To celebrate my sister's new arrival, I rushed to the hospital. As I was about to open the door to her hospital room, I heard voices from inside. Thanks for coming, John. No, I should be the one thanking you, Sarah, for having my child. He's going to be a handsome boy just like John. I was hoping for a girl who looked like Sarah, though. Oh, come on. Shall we go for a second one then? I was shocked by the conversation I overheard. It was unmistakably John and my sister's voices. I was surprised that John was there before me, but even more shocked to learn that my sister's child was John's. Despite my surprise, I managed to stay somewhat calm. I resolved to open the door to my sister's hospital room. Sis, I came to visit you.
Amy? What? Why is John here? Wasn't he supposed to be at work today?
When I appeared, John was surprised, but I pretended not to know why he was here.
Amy, you came. Thank you.
You're welcome. But why is John here? That's what I'm asking. Well, you see. John clearly became flustered. I heard the two of you talking from the other side of the door. Can you explain what's going on? Then, my sister said to me with a triumphant smile. What do you mean, what's going on? You know, don't you? John is the father of this child. John is the father. It seems the conversation I overheard before entering the room wasn't a misunderstanding. You really are clueless, not realizing that John has been with me. It's actually hilarious. You've been having an affair behind my back? That's right.
Wait, so when you said you'd make me happy, that was a lie?
There's no use for someone who can't even have a child, they said, laughing together. It appeared that John truly was the father of my sister's child, and they had been having an affair behind my back all along. Actually, I've been a huge fan of Sarah even before I married you. I heard that when we started dating. I approached you because I knew you were Sarah's sister. I thought if I got close to you, eventually I'd get closer to Sarah. John is a huge fan of mine and also a viewer of my yoga videos. Indeed, when I first mentioned my sister while we were dating, my husband was surprised. But I was shocked to learn he was such an enthusiastic fan. You were that big of a fan of my sister.
Of course. I've left comments on all of Sarah's videos. No man could resist falling for someone as beautiful and stylish as Sarah.
I always noticed someone consistently leaving comments on my videos, and when I found out it was John, I was surprised. And just like that, it didn't take long for us to start dating. I was shocked to learn that the purpose of marrying me was also to get closer to my sister. Hearing the truth about my husband and sister's affair left me speechless. Well, as you can see, Sarah and I have a child now. Pack your things and get out of my life. We're getting a divorce, he declared, thrusting the already filled-out divorce papers at me. I finally understood why my sister wouldn't let me help her or give me her apartment's location. And all of John's suspicious behavior made sense now. Overcome more by anger than sadness, I calmly accepted, understood, took the divorce papers, and left the hospital. I couldn't forgive these two. Filled with despair and anger, I went to the municipal office to file the divorce papers, and just like that, John and I became strangers to each other. And so, I made a call to a certain place. The next day, my now ex-husband John bombarded me with an incredible number of calls. After ignoring them for a while, I reluctantly answered due to the incessant ringing.
Hey! Pick up faster. More importantly, Amy, what did you do with the house?
The house? Since I don't need it anymore, I disposed of it.
What? Do you think you can do something like that without my permission?
Since I submitted the divorce papers yesterday, we are strangers now. Why should I need permission from a stranger? On the day he confronted me with the divorce, I submitted the divorce papers. After leaving the hospital, I had called a certain place, a real estate agency. I negotiated with the real estate agency to sell the house and land in its entirety immediately. Don't mess with me. That's my house, even if we're divorced. Oh, it's not yours. The house and land were purchased under my name. What? You wouldn't know, since you left all the preparations to me. Indeed, the house and land were all purchased with the inheritance I received from my late parents. John, who hardly helped with the wedding preparations or setting up our new home, had no idea. John, who hardly ever helped with preparations for our wedding or setting up our new home, had no way of knowing. Moreover, having suspected infidelity for some time, I had installed miniature cameras and listening devices in the house. Thanks to that, I gathered evidence of the affair and had been consulting with a lawyer, strategizing on when to initiate the divorce. Planning for a potential divorce, I had been packing my belongings gradually, taking advantage of the nights John came home late, which made moving out smoother. John must have been shocked to find his belongings dumped in front of the house, now marked for sale, after returning from my sister's place. However, John couldn't accept what I said. The house and land are marital property, he protested, and even said, I won't allow you to do as you please." So, I stood my ground in response. The only reason we could afford the land and house was thanks to the inheritance my parents left me. That's. Plus, the purchase was made after you proposed, but before we were legally married, right? So, it doesn't count as shared property.
What? After all, we were still strangers before our marriage.
When John was at a loss for words over the phone, a voice said, "Let me speak to her," and the call was handed over to my sister. Knowing about the inheritance, my sister seemed panicked. Then, part of that inheritance should have belonged to me too, she said furiously. However, our parents had explicitly stated during their lifetime, "We will not leave any inheritance to our unfortunate daughter, Sarah," and had left a will to that effect, ensuring that all the inheritance went to me. I explained all of this to my sister in detail. Despite this, John and my sister continued to complain over the phone. Ignoring them, I said sarcastically, "I'm quite busy myself. So, I wish you both happiness," and hung up the phone. I then blocked John and my sister's contact numbers. Afterward, John, having suddenly lost his place to return to, ended up living in my sister's apartment. With the child on the way, John remarried my sister. They should have been able to live comfortably, given my sister's earnings. However, the fact that the child was the result of an affair was dramatically exposed in a tabloid magazine. Moreover, the revelation that the other party was her sister's husband spread quickly, causing a scandal. My sister, once a popular yoga instructor, saw her popularity plummet. Additionally, the tabloid extended its investigation to John's surroundings. Struggling with the magazine's scrutiny, his company demoted him to a subsidiary. John's hard-earned promotion evaporated, turning all his efforts into nothing. My sister's yoga class attendance plummeted, and it seems her video streaming ad revenue dried up as well, forcing them to vacate their apartment. They moved into a small public housing, but with John not being cooperative in parenting, their home was rife with arguments. Their noisy disputes often led to complaints from neighbors, and the police were called out on several occasions. On the other hand, I managed to successfully find a new job. Working in a new environment for the first time in a while, I've been enjoying my days. During this period, I also took up tennis again and was fortunate enough to meet a new man. We started playing tennis together on weekends, and after our games, we'd chat over coffee at a cafe, talking about daily life and tennis. With time having passed since my divorce, we are planning to get married soon. We intend to support each other and spend happy days together.